I'm speaking to you today from Israel, where I've spent the past 3 days immersed in their culture and their political scene. It's been very eye opening on a number of levels. I tend to think usually that the Israelis are in the right and the Palestinians are in the wrong. But most of our guides throughout this 3 day whirlwind trip have been one Palestinian, one Israeli giving their points of view. And I've learned that it's far more complex than we understand in the West, and that there's a point of view on each side that needs to be considered, in that the Israelis are defending themselves, as they should, but the Palestinians live in conditions that are somewhat deplorable and are, from a very young age, taught to hate their country, their fellow countrymen, the Israelis, and that their livelihood, their life conditions depend completely on their ability to rise above their situation, which is not promising. They're locked in to these refugee camps. They have this idea of returning one day to what they consider to be their land that was taken from them by the Israelis in 1948 when the state was set up by the British. And that brings me to my first point in this little commentary. When we were in Rwanda, it was made clear by the people who lived there that the genocide that occurred in 1994 was largely orchestrated, whether on purpose or not, by the Belgian influence. The Belgians wanted desperately to classify Rwandans by race and went about their business creating the conflict that resulted in the horrible genocide there. Here in Israel in the 40s, when the State of Israel was established, it was the British that created the separation between Palestinians and Israelis, which has continued to divide them. So there's one we've heard a few very interesting speakers, but there's one in particular that I would like to try to see if we can't get him to speak with myself or somebody at the Rebel Media, because I'm a self-appointed super fan for Rebel Media. His name is Assis Abu Sara. He is a Palestinian whose brother was killed by Israeli soldiers. But he has come through that to a point in his life where he can relate to the casualties on both sides. His speech was captivating, and he's somebody who's lived through the experience. Those of us in the West can only try to imagine. I don't think that we understand the complexities of the situation here, is the conclusion that I've come to. In any event, for me it was also an emotional few days, because I met my husband here almost 50 years ago. I went to some of the same places that we went to together, and we came back in 2013 to visit a very changed Israel. And now I'm here by myself looking at these same places. So it's been a little difficult in that regard. But I'm glad to be here, and we're off to Spain tomorrow, and last stop on our trip. So I will speak to you next from there.